What's up YouTube? This is the Unboxing Gadget, and I just bought a Nintendo Switch OLED in 2024, and this is my review and experience after having the original Switch and a Switch Lite. I will dive into my gripes with Nintendo, unbox and compare the original Switch, and summarize my final thoughts on this OLED model. With all that being said, let's dive in and let's get it. Now, straight off the rip, I have some gripes with Nintendo I want to lay down immediately. Number 1. This should have been what Nintendo originally released at launch. Yes, I love the original model. I even stood in line for the original model. But if the original model was this OLED Switch, it would have been game over for all game consoles. This would have been the go-to console during that time. But it's been 7 years, and here we are. We have the OLED model. Number 2, the OLED on this thing is really nice. Honestly, it might be one of the best OLED screens I've seen on any handheld so far, and I have a lot of handhelds, so Nintendo would have released this sooner. Like I said, it would have been game over, set, match. And final point, before we get to the unboxing, come on, why didn't they release and update the specs with this OLED model? If they would have updated the specs, gave us the OLED screen, and just gave us a little bit more, I mean, this would have been an even better model than it is now. Okay, I know you all didn't come here to hear me complain about the OLED model. Trust me, I have a lot of good things to say about it. But with all that being said, let's dive in and unbox one of my favorite consoles of 2024. Comment below if anyone knows if the box contains anything different from the original Switch. I don't have all my original accessories, but let me know if anything differs. But either way, let's get this thing open, check it out. So, taking it out the box and cracking this open, it immediately takes me back to when I first got my Switch and how excited I was just to get this thing. I thought it was one of the coolest consoles ever. At that time, there wasn't a lot that came out, so the fact that the Switch came out at that time was perfect. Now, we can see here we have the 2 joysticks. I have the Mario edition, so they're both red, which is pretty cool. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe this Mario edition Switch is a limited edition model, so there are some things that's slightly different from the original colors of the blue and red and the white Switch, which is pretty cool. So I'm glad to have this limited edition model, and hopefully, it pans out to be pretty cool. Now, immediately, I do notice a few subtle things already. There is a Mario in the corner of the dock, which is pretty cool. What's the saying they say? Subtle but powerful? Okay, flipping it over, actually I see another cool detail. The Mario coins on the back of the dock, which once again, subtle but pretty cool. Okay, and lastly, we have the HDMI cable and the Switch AC adapter. Glad they still included this. Some brands don't include any cable or adapter, so I'm glad they still supplied us with our own AC adapter for the Switch. Alright, now that we got the console out the box, let's jump into comparing the 3 models. Let's compare the screen, let's compare the size, let's compare everything to see the progression of the Switch models throughout the years and to see how it ended up on this OLED model. But either way, wouldn't it be kind of crazy if they released a Switch Lite OLED? I think that would have been kind of lit, to have a smaller form factor with the OLED screen. I mean, they really could have done a lot with the OLED, but they gave us, a good model, so I'm not going to gripe on it anymore. Alright, here it is, the 3 models. We have the Switch Lite, OLED, and the original Switch. Now off rip, you can clearly see the OLED screen is much nicer. The buttons kind of all the same. I don't think they changed the buttons for these models. Screen sizes, vastly different with the Switch Lite and the original Switch and OLED, but besides that, I mean, the one standout factor is this OLED screen on the OLED Switch. But either way, let's move on. Okay, let's flip over and talk about the kickstand, because the kickstand on the OLED model is one of the key features that was upgraded from the original Switch, and I think Nintendo did a good job on it. Now, we clearly can see it's bigger, which is a huge plus. It has a nice metal feel, which gives it a more robust feel and allows you to set it up at any angle, which is the icing on the cake for the kickstand. Because the original Switch, the kickstand was horrible. I mean, you touch the table and it'll fall over. But with this one, you can set it up any which angle and it stays up. And I also do like how it honestly feels more solid on the table too. It's like if you shake the table and it doesn't wiggle or anything like that, which is a huge plus. Alright, if you made it this far, let's sum it up. We talked about the 3 gripes I had with Nintendo. We took a good look at unboxing the OLED model. Then we even talked about the difference between the 3 models. Now lastly, I do want to finalize with giving Nintendo its praise. And first of all, I have to say, without the original model, we might not have ever had this OLED model. Nintendo could have easily stopped at creating the Switch Lite and never updating the original Switch, but even with all my gripes, they did give us a glorious OLED model. Because honestly, they knew fans like me were gonna cave and buy it anyway. Secondly, the Switch has an awesome game catalog, and I think the OLED model complements that perfectly. It's one of those catalogs where you can put it down and come back to it weeks later and just have just as much fun as you originally picked it up. Games like 1-2 Switch and Switch Sports really stand out as a minority in the vast array of AAA games on a current gen consoles. And lastly, one of the biggest perks of the Switch and the Switch OLED is this is the perfect device for a family. I mean, there's some games where you can kick back and play with the fam. There's just some games you can kick back and play by yourself, like Zelda. But I think this is the perfect console for your little one, for a dad, for a mom. It doesn't matter. Anyone can pick this device up and play it. And there's games for all different ages. And that's why I think the Switch OLED, or the Switch, is one of the best consoles still of 2024. This is the Unboxing Gadget. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.